Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone has been keeping well. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to speak about something that I haven't shared on my channel before, and it's all to do with my story, why I'm going in the direction that I am, and just the overall consensus of what I've done and where I'm going. I would say my story started back in 2016, 2017, just when I left secondary school. Now, I wasn't someone who was good in school. I didn't really care too much. I wasn't academic. I didn't really get on with anyone there apart from my tight circle at that point, which wasn't really a good environment to be in. And I didn't really pass any GCSEs. The only things I did pass in was business and PE. So fitness and business has always been my life. And I guess it just shows from the results in school. I didn't pass anything else apart from business and PE. I didn't like school. I didn't get on with the teachers. I just couldn't stand it. It just wasn't my thing. I couldn't stand being spoken down to. I couldn't stand being told what to do. I liked having my own schedule. Even being at the young age that I was at the time, I still had this big vision of where I wanted to be in life. And I knew deep down that the educational system, the academic side of things, doesn't necessarily get you to where you want to be. At least that was for me. So for that reason, I basically just writ off school, didn't care. The last 2 years I was in school, I basically just got expelled all the time because I just didn't want to be at school. I didn't really turn up. I was always late, didn't really care about anything. That doesn't mean it was a good thing. It doesn't mean that I should have done that. It's just how I was at the time. So about 6 months after I left school, my family left to move to the south of France. I stayed behind because I had just met a new group of friends who were much older. We were all into, raving and going out and doing that sort of thing. As a young boy, I had just found a group of friends that I really wanted to be around all the time. For that reason, I stayed back. I ended up moving in with my brother, who was slightly older, had his own family, girlfriend, kids, his own house, and he took me in. So from the age of 16 to the age of 17, I was essentially an independent adult with no income, no life experience, no guardians or guidance around me. I was doing college at the time, which I didn't turn up to because I didn't enjoy it. And number two, I had to quit because I had to get a job so that I could defend for myself. That year was a very dark year for me. I didn't necessarily like that year. I wasn't myself. In fact, I was lost. I was working a job for about 30 to 40 pound a day in cash, working like 12 to 13 hour days, up early, getting home late, never really having any money for lunch, to be honest. And although I had this newfound freedom of not having, parents breathing down my neck at a young age, I could go out and do what I wanted. It did come with responsibility. I had to learn how to wash my own clothes, cook, how to look after myself, I had to develop a routine, I had to go and work a job, and it was such a great experience to go through because of what I had to learn. But at that time, it wasn't a great year. So fast forward a year, my brother and his family wanted to move to Wales. So then I didn't really have a choice but to then have to move to the south of France anyways and leave my new friendship group behind, which probably wasn't a bad thing anyways because I was going down a very dark road and spiral. So then I moved to the south of France just before I was 18, and I lived there for just over a year, and I would say it was one of the most life-changing, best experiences, crazy years of my life. For me, was where my story began because so much had happened in that space of time. I'd found who I was, I found where I wanted to go in life. I managed to quit all these bad habits that I was doing at the time. I got into the gym, I got into fitness, I got into nutrition. It literally transformed me from a boy to then an adult. I became a very independent adult at a very young age because I was forced to. Life forced me to have to get out of my comfort zone, go and learn all these new things, like the simple things of looking after yourself, paying for bills, doing the washing, cooking, things that most kids at 18 don't really have to do nowadays. For that, I am thankful because of where it has led me and the person that has made me today. But yeah, so the main reason for my story is I had a realization that I didn't like the fact that I couldn't just travel all the time because I was financially restricted because I didn't have any money. It made me realize that I wanted to be able to travel and do the things that I want while having an income, while making money. And I didn't even know what any of this was. I didn't know what a residual income was. I didn't know what active income was. I didn't know what passive income was. I just didn't know anything about it. So that's where the journey and the search for more started. Let's say we're halfway through the year now, and I've came to this realization that I want more out of my life. I want to start earning money. I want to be able to travel to the places that I always want to travel. I want these fancy cars. I want the freedom that comes with the money. That's the whole point. So back in 2018, I started this dropship business. Now at this time, I was just researching what is passive income? What is this income? How can I make a passive income? I was doing all of this research and it led me to a dropshipping model. This was back in 2018, so it was a very, very new model at that time. I ended up watching this guy do a tutorial on how to set up like a dropship website, how to find products, how to upload upload images to your site, and then how to sort of generate traffic to that website. So I spent some money on building the site, getting the domain, this, that, and the other, which was a great learning experience. I launched it, I spent £70 on ads, nothing happened. I panicked and I shut down my business and nothing ever happened. I think it lasted like a week before I shut it down because I didn't know anything, really. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that losing your money was a bad thing. I just panicked because I didn't have any income really at that time apart from the labouring job. So then I just had to shut it down and I panicked. But then it led me to searching for more because I knew there has to be another way. I'm seeing all these people online making millions and millions and millions of pounds from basically a website. So then fast forward to the next project, I then found a business model that was based out in the US. It was definitely a pyramid scheme, and I would even go as far as saying it was a scam. Basically, the way it works is you would have to buy the product in order to be able to sell it. So I'd have this call with this person that was doing it. He would then essentially sell me this water ionizer, and if I bought it, then I would be able to buy into the pyramid scheme, become a retailer or a reseller, let's say, and I would be able to push it out to other people, and when they buy off me, I would make money. Now, the second part to this was the way you would generate the person or the lead was by setting up some sort of like online course thing. I don't even know how it worked, to be honest, but basically I set up a Facebook page, I ran some Facebook ads, I ran the course where people would come and sign up for $20, and then once they're signed up and they've paid the $20, I would be their designated online sales coach, and then I would try and pitch them on the water ionizer, get them to buy it. Once they've bought it, I would also make an income on whoever they sell to as well. So I was actually sat in my games room on a Saturday night. I heard this ping on my phone, and at the time it was Stripe. That was the payment processor that I used, and I had $20 come through, and then all of a sudden in the space of 1 hour I had 5 of them coming through. So I thought, whoa, I've just made like $100 sitting here playing Xbox. Ever since then, that just sparked something in my head. Like, I'm actually making money, this is crazy. The amount of emotions and thoughts I was having at the time was beyond what I could imagine. I thought, wow. It basically fell off there. My Stripe account then got banned. I don't know what happened. And then I found out that when I had a few of these leads come through, my sales coach actually ended up taking the business from me and then taking the money. So I got scammed over. Then I got left for 2 years to have to pay this water ionizer on like a monthly payment plan because I had no money to pay for it. It was like £180 a month for like 2 or 3 years. It was literally ridiculous. Big lesson learned. And to me, that was like my first taste of freedom, financial freedom, passive income, and just having a business, let's say. So fast forward, I then decided to pack up my bags. It was around the time that I just turned 19. I came back and I was sleeping on the floor of my sister's flat. My goal was to come back, become a millionaire, get into property, because that was what I was studying at the time, rent out loads of properties. I thought it was going to be an absolute breeze. Then I eventually found this job in the very last minute. I literally remember I was down to my last £200 and this company called me. It's a B2B face-to-face sales rep opportunity. I just thought I'll just take it because I didn't have anything else going for me, and if I didn't take it, I would have had to fly back home. Yeah, I ended up doing this face-to-face sales job for quite a long time, but after about 3 months of doing it, I ended up actually moving in with the business owner and my sales mentor. I lived there for maybe a year or like 10 months. It was probably one of the best experiences that I ever had because they were like my brothers. It was just like all we knew was business, entrepreneurship, going out, selling every single day, going home, like training together, eating together, building a business together. It was a very intensive experience with how fast I grew as a person. The way I started speaking, the way I started thinking, acting, believing, everything just changed. So we were doing face-to-face survey sales. So we would go around to different cities in the UK and stop people. We'd done that for a good while until COVID-19 hit. We then spent COVID together in the same house, which was pretty cool, basically on the phones all day. That was my first taste of doing telephone sales, B2C, selling gas and electric to people. Done that for about 3 months. Once the lockdown lifted, we then went and done door to door. Now that was one of the most character building experiences I've ever gone through. Going to people's doors during the COVID time, knocking on their doors, asking who their gas and electric is with, and then trying to get them to convert there and then. And it just taught me resilience. It taught me rejection is rejection and it means nothing, just to keep going, don't give up. The amount of steps we were doing every single day, we're doing like 30,000 steps a day. It was crazy. It was such an intense experience, but I think it really helped me evolve into the person that I am today. So then it came to a bit of a dead end. They ended up going back to Essex, and then I had to get out of the house. My sister and my brother-in-law kindly enough took me in. So then I was actually sofa surfing again. Bear in mind, when I moved into this house with these guys, I was sleeping on the sofa for like 4 months of it. sister until one of the guys left to go back to Essex, and I then had a single bed to myself. Throughout this whole journey, I never really had my own space or like a proper bed. It was crazy. I ended up going from like a wooden floor to a sofa to a single bed back to a sofa. So I ended up moving in with my sister and my brother-in-law, sleeping on the sofa for a year while I got this new B2B telephone sales job. This was a whole nother level. This was a big step up from the intensity of selling, because although we were walking around stopping people and being face to face and doing door to door, this was B2B intense sales. It was selling exhibition space, selling stands to other companies, and we're doing like $300 a day. It was brutal. It was literally like the Wolf of Wall Street in there. But that taught me so many things. It taught me how to sell to businesses. It taught me how to speak to CEOs, to managing directors. It taught me a lot more about, you know, the corporate side of life as well, being in an office, just the different experience from, you know, working on sites to working B2C and working in the street to then working in an office, being in like a sales team. I was there for about a year, done really well, and then I just had burnout. I couldn't do it anymore. It was ridiculous. I was working like 19-hour days. It was just too much. I didn't want to do it anymore. You know, I had bad relationships at the time. I was going through a toxic breakup as well. So a great experience, but at the same time, quite dark experiences as well. And then, yeah, things happened, things moved forward. I ended up moving back in with my mum, sleeping on a sofa again there until I was on the sofa for a long time until I found this place. I've now been in here 3 years, finally in my own bed, my own kitchen, my own room. I pay the rent, like, it's all mine, it's my space. That was one of the biggest reliefs in my life, especially after living with my ex. I finally had my own space. That's sort of a brief summary of from like 2016, from when I left school up until like 2022, 2023. So I then fell back into like just a normal general labour and building site work, and I was always building a business on the side. I was building a business when I was living at my sister's house. Me and my brother-in-law decided to start some projects, but obviously he was always working away, 3 kids with my sister. It didn't work, so we just called it quits. And then I started my own dropshipping business, which actually made some money. I was doing like 5k a month for a few months, which was really cool. I loved it. It didn't work out in the end because I just didn't have the knowledge, the experience. I didn't even have the cash flow to do it. I just couldn't keep up with my competitors. I got wiped out. But it was a great experience. I knew that I still had it in me. I still had the knowledge to go and start an online business and to be able to make money with it. But great learning experience. It taught me so much. I roughly shut that down around the time, about 6 months being here. I then ended up in a business partnership with someone that I had met at a networking event. Ended up doing an online fitness brand with him, which didn't go to plan. And then started another company, didn't go to plan. Started another company, didn't go to plan. Started another company, didn't go to plan. And now we're sort of here now with the business that I've got, which is still only 6 months old, but the sign of life is very much there. I've never had a stronger or clearer vision in my life. I know exactly where I'm going. I've already got partnerships in Dubai. I've already got inquiries coming through. I've got great connections. I've got great supply chain logistics. Everything is set up to a maximum, ready to literally blossom and succeed into what it's going to be. That's sort of the mechanics of my journey. Now, the whole reason I am why I am, I went on a spiritual journey as well. I've met some really good people in my time. I've met someone called Josh, who has been like my spiritual teacher for a long time. He's taught me everything about life and really opened my mind to what life really is and the experience that we have, and basically completely transformed my mindset and me as a person. And here we are. I've always wanted to become a content creator. I've always wanted to do YouTube full time. I've always wanted to travel the world, move back abroad, become a multi-millionaire. I want to have all these fancy cars because I want to have them, not because it's a status thing. I don't care what other people think. I want the cars from me as a trophy. I want to have different properties in different countries. I want to be able to give back to people. I want to be able to give money back to my family for helping me out all these years. And it's just crazy to think, like, you know, I'm now 25. My journey almost started like 9 years ago or 8 years ago, let's say. I'm going to be moving to Dubai this year in the next couple of weeks, if not months, with this new business, with my new girlfriend. But I'm grateful for all the hard times because of what it's taught me, the character it's turned me into, the resilience that I've had to build, always being the last man standing, determination it takes, the discipline, the consistency, the commitment, the grit, the grind, the willing to do everything, because I've been knocked down multiple times in my life, whether it be in business, just life itself, relationships, financial reasons, like anything's just been stripped away from me. I'm still just standing here pushing forward, moving forward, and just elevating my life. So overall, my mission really is to become a multi-millionaire, to give back to the world, because I know exactly how cool it is out there. I know how tough it can be. I want to give back to young entrepreneurs. I want to be able to help people, whether it's with mindset or just to be that encouragement and that inspiration, just to say, look, keep going, because it will happen eventually if you just keep going. At the end of the day, business and life life isn't about the first one over the line. It's about last man standing. It's about how many hits can you take and keep going. The difference between you winning and not is just by trying that one more time. Try them one more time, because it could be the next business that works. It could be the next opportunity that's going to change your life, that big breakthrough that you're waiting for. Everything always happens for a reason. So if things are failing, it probably means it's happening for a reason. The universe is taking stuff out of your life that you just don't need, to give you space that you need to receive more things, to give you the wisdom and the information and the knowledge that you need to move forward with life. So my mission is to become respected and well known around the world through social media for, my journey, helping other people, inspiring other individuals to do better with their life, just to get off the sofa and go do something, go to the gym, start eating healthier, taking care of their body and themselves and the people around them as well. And that's my mission, really. And it's been a crazy journey so far. It's been nothing but just challenges, dark times, uncertainty of where I'm even going, who have I got in my corner, who haven't I got in my corner. It's just been a game of really figuring out what's going on in my life. 2026 is the year that everything is transforming, it's changing. Everything that has been negative is now being transmuted into a positive. I'm going to change my life this year. Everything is happening in perfect timing. Everything is also aligning. The course is correcting. And now all of a sudden I just feel like I'm out of this tunnel of cloud and darkness. I've stepped out into this new version of myself, and I can just see so clearly where I'm going. I can now see the way that my business is going to work, my current relationship is going to work. I finally found someone that I can be with without having to have all these anxieties and worries. I've gone on such a spiritual journey. I've changed myself internally as well. Yeah, life's pretty good, and the money's going to come, and I'm super excited for it to come, so I can start giving back to people, start buying the things that I've always wanted to buy, and start living on the terms that I've always wanted to live on, and just start living with some freedom. But yeah, that's all for now. That's my story summed up in about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and hopefully I can inspire other individuals, no matter what age you're at, just to take that leap, take that risk, take that next step forward out of your comfort zone, just to go and change your life. Start the business, start the gym, start that diet, whatever it's going to be. Just start it and just get on with it, because you never know what it's going to lead to, because you don't know if you don't know. If you don't try, you're never going to know. If you don't try, you're never going to succeed. But at least if you fail, you can say that you've tried. We only get one life, so let's just fucking live it. As 50 Cent says, get rich or die trying. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my video if you haven't already, and drop me a like, comment, let me know if you're on your journey. Go and follow me on Instagram as well. Peace.